Good to be with you. I'm Tony DeCopo. The breaking news right now. Travel chaos. The major American airports forced to close security checkpoints tonight as thousands of TSA officers quit or call out sick. Entire airports could shut down next, what the Trump administration is saying. The other developing story tonight, digging out and cleaning up after that massive cross-country storm. And now sub-freezing temperatures moving in. And the war in Iran, new questions tonight about who's running that country as two more major regime leaders are killed in airstrikes, according to Israel. And the political fight back here at home. A top Trump administration official resigns in protest. The president's response tonight. Also, day 45 of the search for Nancy Guthrie, the new images from cameras on her property, what investigators are now saying. Also, that fireball over the U.S. and the sonic boom that followed it. What the heck was it? And the grandparents' happy hour bill. What could possibly go wrong?
From CBS News headquarters in New York, this is the CBS Evening News with Tony DeCopo.
Good evening. And the situation at American airports has gone from bad to worse over the past 24 hours. Democrats are refusing to fund the Department of Homeland Security unless Republicans agree to changes in immigration enforcement. But guess who's caught in the middle? 50,000 TSA officers working without pay amid a partial government shutdown or not working at all. About 10% of them have been calling out in recent days. And that leaves more than 2 million airline passengers a day to deal with multi-hour security lines and heightened concern about the risk of terrorism. Also late today, we learned that half the checkpoints at Philadelphia International Airport will be closed effective tomorrow. And that's not all. Senior transportation correspondent Chris Van Cleve is all over this story for us. He joins us now. Chris, good evening. How bad could this get?
Well, Tony, it could become a situation where those 2+ hour lines become more common than not at airports across the country, and could get worse yet. If an airport can't staff its checkpoints, that airport may have to close for the day.
Flyers prepare for the airport to get a lot less fun this spring break. In Denver, it was a rocky morning.
This is nuts. I've never seen DIA like this.
At the Atlanta airport, another day of wait times topping 2 hours. Nearly 40% of the airport's TSA officers called out sick Monday, forcing a checkpoint to close.
If I didn't come 2 hours earlier, I'd miss my flight. Look at this line.
And tomorrow, 3 of the TSA checkpoints at the Philadelphia airport will be closed. TSA sick calls are surging since officers missed a paycheck Friday due to the month-long partial government shutdown. Monday saw the most yet. More than 10% of officers nationwide called out. That's more than 5 times a normal day.
Our people are hurting every single day. We have individuals sleeping in their cars, drawing blood to afford to pay for gas to get to work. So the situation financially is dire for officers.
Acting Deputy TSA Administrator Adam Stahl.
If the call rate does climb, there could be scenarios where we may have to shut down airports. This is a serious situation.
And it sounds like every day this goes on, you think it's going to get worse.
Yes, the longer we do not receive funding for both the department and for TSA, this will get worse. This will not get better.
Wait times are already increasing.
We're going to make our flight. We're thinking this is probably at least an hour's wait.
At Houston's Bush Airport today, the lines hit at least 103 minutes, 86 minutes in San Juan, and an hour at Chicago O'Hare.
Now, it does not sound like airport closures are imminent. First, the TSA would look to reduce the number of open lanes and then the number of open checkpoints, but particularly for smaller airports, that is a possibility. What can flyers do? Check your airport's website before you head to the airport. Most have up-to-date wait times, and then leave yourself some extra time when you get to the airport, Tony.
All right, Chris, thank you very much. Turning to the weather tonight, parts of the West, there are already extreme heat alerts days before spring starts, but further east, cold air has moved in, lingering after that major storm dropped feet of snow across the region. National correspondent Dave Malkoff is following the cleanup.
The relentless winter set its sights today on Watertown, New York, where heavy snow and slick roads caused hazardous driving conditions. More than a dozen vehicles crashed on an interstate closing the highway in both directions for miles. In southern Minnesota, neighbors are digging out after getting slammed with more than 2 feet of snow.
It's a lot. It's the most we've had ever that I remember at one time.
And further south, a strong line of storms brought heavy rain and damaging winds to places like Tennessee and Georgia. We met one family in Atlanta who told us winds as strong as a Cat 1 hurricane brought a tree down onto their home.
I heard like metal breaking, glass breaking, so I jumped up.
Tonia Steve says her 95-year-old mother was in bed at the time. This is what's left of the bathroom and closet.
My mother, she fell. Yeah. I bumped her head, but she went to New York. She was fine.
The warnings out west, dangerous heat is on the way. Our Carter Evans is in Los Angeles.
As temperatures approach 100 degrees in parts of Los Angeles, the fire department here is preparing for an influx of heat-related calls. And one of the first things they do when they find someone in distress is get these ice packs under their arms and start an IV to rapidly cool down the body.
Someone may not feel as hot, they may not be sweating, and that's a point of like, hey, maybe we're reaching a heat stroke kind of situation where they're showing later signs and don't realize it.
Heat in the west and a freeze warning here in the southeast until tomorrow morning. Rosalind Brown, who is 95 years old, who lived here, told me she is still in disbelief. She's going back to the hospital, Tony, tomorrow morning to have another brain scan. It's incredible that she survived this.
Dave, thank you very much. To other news now. In rare public remarks today, Supreme Court Justice John Roberts defended the independence of judges, denying that any of his colleagues are somehow working on behalf of the president who appointed them.
The notion that we carry forward the views of the people that appointed us is absurd. President George W. Bush appointed me 20 years ago. The idea that I'm carrying out his agenda somehow is absurd.
Roberts, who did not mention President Trump by name, also said personal criticism of federal judges is dangerous and, quote, it's got to stop. To other news out of Washington today, for weeks, the war in Iran has exposed a political fault line here at home. Some prominent supporters of President Trump have argued hard against U.S. involvement. And now, for the first time, a top official in the Trump administration itself has resigned in protest over the war. Here's CBS senior White House correspondent Ed O'Keefe.
National Counterterrorism Center Director Joe Kent, a staunch ally of the president, today became the first senior government official to openly criticize and resign because of the decision to attack Iran. In his surprise resignation letter to President Trump, Kent, a retired Army Green Beret, said Iran posed no imminent threat to our nation, and it's clear that we started this war due to pressure from Israel and its powerful American lobby.
I always thought he was a nice guy, but I always thought he was weak on security.
Trump praised Kent last year when he nominated him. Today, he brushed him off.
When I read his statement, I realized that it's a good thing that he's out, because he said that Iran was not a threat. Iran was a threat. Every country realized what a threat Iran was.
The president's claims that Iran was poised to strike the U.S. have been disputed, and Kent's defection reiterates the ongoing split in the MAGA coalition. After the president campaigned on ending wars,
instead of a planet on the edge of global war, we will have world peace.
His decision to start one has infuriated high-profile personalities on the right, like Tucker Carlson, Joe Rogan, and former Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene.
We have seen enough of our American troops dead and murdered for foreign countries.
Kent faced bipartisan criticism today for suggesting Israel had influenced Trump's decision to attack Iran, but several Democrats said they agreed with his concerns.
Nobody should know better than the chief of anti-terrorism that Iran posed no imminent threat.
Ed, while we have you, the Republican-controlled House Oversight Committee subpoenaed Pam Bondi to testify about the Epstein files. What more can you tell us there?
Yeah, that's right, Tony. This issue just simply won't go away. The committee is ordering the Attorney General to appear next month to discuss whether the department is complying with a law requiring it release all of the files related to Jeffrey Epstein. The DOJ called it unnecessary and wouldn't say if Bondi plans to comply. She and her deputy, Todd Blanche, are scheduled to meet with the committee tomorrow to discuss the matter. Tony?
All right, Ed, thank you very much. President Trump says he doesn't know who's running Iran, not after U.S. and Israeli airstrikes decimated senior leadership. And the question of who's in charge got even harder overnight after Israel took out 2 more regime leaders, including the man thought to be running the country. Here's senior national security correspondent Charlie D'Agata.
Ali Larijani was last seen in public just a few days ago denouncing President Trump at an open-air rally in the Iranian capital. Iran's security chief, Larijani, was in charge of the bloody crackdown that left thousands of demonstrators dead earlier this year. During this war, responsible for directing attacks across the region. Like this one in Iraq, a swarm of drones targeting the U.S. Embassy compound in Baghdad overnight. Most shot out of the sky with no casualties reported. Launching much larger ballistic missiles against Israel in an effort to penetrate one of the most advanced civilian defense systems in the world. We got rare access to one of Israel's most advanced launchers, the Arrow 3. When it comes to Israeli air defenses, this system is at the top, both in terms of altitude and capability, designed to take out long-range missiles at a great distance before they become a threat on the ground. But the intense barrages across the Middle East have raised concerns that interceptor missile stockpiles might run low. Major A, who cannot reveal his identity for security reasons, is an Israeli air defense officer.
We know how much they have, we know how much we need to defend against it, and we're ready for as long as we need to be here.
You're not running short.
I'm very satisfied with what we're doing and how long we're going.
The Major told us those missiles also take part in the protection of U.S. forces in the region. Tonight, defense officials tell CBS News more than 200 service members have been wounded across 7 countries. The vast majority have returned to duty. Tony?
Charlie, thank you very much. Nearly 50 days now since Savannah Guthrie's mother disappeared. That suspected abduction remains unsolved tonight. But we've learned investigators have recovered additional images from Nancy Guthrie's surveillance cameras. National correspondent Jonathan Vigliotti has our update.
Law enforcement sources tell CBS News the additional images were obtained over the last couple of weeks from surveillance cameras installed at Nancy Guthrie's Tucson home. One camera was fastened to a fence and focused on the back of the house, including the swimming pool area. A second camera showed the driveway and front of the garage door. The new images captured family members, landscapers, and pool workers, stretching back weeks prior to the kidnapping, but nothing deemed suspicious. Week 7 of the search for Guthrie and the person or people that abducted her, this doorbell camera video remains the only known image of the suspect.
What does that say to you?
Yeah, it's lack of meaningful leads. That's the initial thing it says to me.
DNA recovered from the crime scene is still being analyzed.
If they're using forensic genetic genealogy, it takes a while. Maybe you've got multiple people within the same DNA family that could potentially be suspects, and then you have to investigate each one of those independently.
Federal investigators used genetic profiling to track down Brian Koberger following the University of Idaho murders. Authorities continue to receive tips. Over 1,500 leads came into the FBI after the Guthrie family announced a $1 million reward.
We still believe.
It's been nearly 3 weeks since the family called on the public for help, and more than a month since law enforcement has held a press conference.
I'd like to be hopeful that, and I'm sure the family is incredibly hopeful, that the silence is because they're onto something. They just need to investigate harder.
It took 47 days to track down and arrest Brian Koberger. We are now on day 45 with this investigation. The FBI continuing to call on the public for help. Anyone with information is asked to call those numbers. They're on the screen, Tony.
Jonathan, thank you very much. We turn now to Cuba, a country that President Trump said he expects to have the honor of taking, as he put it yesterday, adding today that the U.S. will be doing something about Cuba very soon. Meanwhile, the U.S. cut off Cuba's access to Venezuelan oil, and since then, the country has seen rolling blackouts and protests, too. Reporter Juan Paulup is in Havana with more. Juan, good evening.
Good evening, Tony. Here in Havana, there is little fuel left, transportation is limited, and very few public services are available.
And now, once more, no power across the island. The nationwide blackout yesterday is still keeping much of the country in the dark. In a nation used to hardship, Cubans say the situation has never been worse. Hundreds of protesters have taken to the streets in Havana and in cities like Moron, where last Friday demonstrations turned violent.
We'll be doing something with Cuba very soon.
Meanwhile, President Trump is ramping up the pressure, stating that it would be an honor to take over Cuba.
On the island, Tony, many are just pleading for an end, whatever comes next.
Juan, thank you very much. Still ahead, a fireball in the sky and the question on everyone's mind, what the heck was that? We've got the answer next. It was 7 tons of something moving at more than 40,000 miles an hour across the skies of the central U.S. today, and it came with a sonic boom, otherwise normal Tuesday morning. So what was it? CBS's Mark Strassman got answers.
Watch screen right. Something streaking over Mercer, Pennsylvania. Truck driver James Eaker had thoughts.
Oh, what the was that?
How would you describe your reaction in that moment?
Unfiltered. It took me a second to register, that, honestly, for a second there, I just thought I was seeing things.
Some type of rocket or something burning.
From Maryland to Michigan, people and cameras saw the same thing. A 7-ton meteoroid hurtling 45,000 miles per hour. They also heard something.
Something went boom earlier. It shook us over here.
It was a shockwave as atmospheric pressure exploded the meteoroid over Medina County, Ohio.
Some fragments, some tiny pieces of it, actually made it to the ground.
Bill Cook charts plummeting space objects for NASA when they're big enough. This one, 6 feet in diameter, was too tiny to track.
This could just be a small asteroid that hung out in the belt and eventually migrated here, or it could be a fragment from a larger one. We really don't know.
Online theories were more definitive. A streak of revelry on St. Patrick's Day.
A fireball this size flashes over North America about once a month. 95% of small asteroids and meteoroids vaporize before they ever have a chance to land on Earth or on social media.
It's the other 5% I'm worried about, Mark.
You and me both.
Thank you very much. When we come back, a high-rise fire in Manhattan just minutes before the St. Patrick's Day parade. How it unfolded, how it ended, we'll tell you. A skyscraper fire brought parts of New York City to a standstill today. Take a look at these pictures. Flames and thick black smoke pouring from the roof of a building undergoing renovations. This is just blocks from Times Square. We're told it started in the HVAC system. 3 people hurt before the FDNY put it out. Nice job. It's 5 o'clock somewhere, but not for senior citizens in Minnesota. The fight to change that next. Only in America tonight, a fight described as an effort to legalize happy hour for grandma and grandpa. Now, you may think the freedom to knock one back with friends is near universal in America, at least after the age of 21, or certainly the vista of 65 plus. But a senior living facility in Minnesota was recently told they'd need a liquor license for any gathering involving alcoholic beverages. And the regulators in this case, I have to say, were right. The law was on their side, but they were messing with the wrong generation.
Just because we are older and live in assisted living doesn't mean that we should have fewer freedoms than anyone else.
Hear, hear, Anita LeBron, a grandmother who lives at that senior living facility. She lobbied state lawmakers, saying she shouldn't have to worry about slipping on the ice while getting her own box of wine.
My friends and I love happy hour, just like many of you do, I am sure. Over a shared drink, we get to reminisce about parts of our life, military service, raising a family, the loss of a friend, and celebrating the golden phase of our lives, too.
Anita's Senior Living Center backs her effort, calling the license requirement red tape without value, and her local state senator introduced a bill to change things. In fact, after Anita's testimony, the only pushback was good-natured. A 38-year-old state senator was told he was too young to join the happy hour himself. A final vote could be as soon as this month. That's another day in America, St. Patrick's Day. So we'll leave you with pictures from today's beautiful parade in New York City.